So my question for you is, if God said that there is going to be male and female, and then there's some variety within that called intersex people, why do you guys insist on this binary definition of sex when clearly biology is not so binary? There are intersex people, and you'll say, oh, it's just 1% of people, et cetera, et cetera. And then also, let's extend that to same-sex relationships. So you have someone who's born heterosexual, bisexual, or homosexual. So why is there this thing where God would say, that's fine, but that's not fine. And he creates them knowingly like that. And then in the past, the church has said these people are mentally ill, they deserve to be, put in institutions, penalized, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I could go on and on about that. But my question is, why do you say that if I'm going to be a Christian again, then I need to repent from being LGBTQI+, and then accept this narrow version of the gospel? That to me is like conversion therapy, and the UN and all these other major medical organizations in the US and around the world have called that torture. So for you to stand here and to defend that, that's pretty messed up. What is your response to that?
Well, Number one, what I see with the American youth is the consequence of abundance. What that means is that because they have so much to eat, so much to do many things, when you have so much, you start worrying about things that should not be meddled with. Number one thing he said that really baffled me was that he said that, okay, there's 1% of the population that is, as he said, intersex, or I don't know their wording that they like to use. Now, how can 1% determine what 99% do? So what that simply means is that the 1% is not the norm. In a society or in a place where something is not the norm, it means that thing is abnormal. And what we see here is abnormality. He's trying to say, let us raise the abnormality to become the same as the normal. That cannot happen. Then he started to make some talk about UN calling those things torture. Me, I've never heard such a thing before, that they call it torture. But let us hear what he has to say concerning it.
Let me ask you a question. What is your standard of morality?
I'm myself, I'm a secular humanist. I think that everybody is innately good.
What do you mean by good?
What do you mean by good?
Well, obviously murder is wrong.
Why?
Because if I went and murdered someone's kid, then that mother or father would not have a child, and they would be in mourning, and that caused them some great psychological turmoil for the rest of their lives and trauma they're going to have to work through in therapy. So objectively, we can see psychologically, they're not going to be doing too hot. So of course, but that's objectively wrong.
Why is it objectively wrong to harm people?
Because if we are going to come together as a society and cooperate as a human race, we need to have some sort of moral standard to bind us together, regardless if there's a God or not.
But whose moral standard? I mean, Hitler had a pretty tight moral standard within Germany. Why was he wrong?
Well, obviously he was wrong on many levels. I mean, the fact that he murdered millions of people.
But by what standard? Why is it wrong to murder people?
Well, I'm just going to say, within my own experience, if I witness the murder of someone, which I gratefully have not, I would be, obviously, there would be a sinking feeling inside of me, wow, I just witnessed the loss of someone's life. That's a terrible thing to see. If someone got ran over by a car and it was so quick and you just didn't see it coming, of course that would screw someone up for life. So to me, it's you don't have to attribute it to whether there's a God or not. Psychologically, the way that my brain is going to see that is wow, I just saw harm inflicted onto another human.
Yes, you're describing how you know something's wrong. The question
it's
is
a psychological feeling and a physiological reaction.
The question is, why is it wrong if there's no God?
So wait, can you repeat that last thing?
Yeah, you're explaining one of the ways you might know that something's wrong. The question is, why is it wrong if there's no God?
Another thing I want to talk about is that there seems to be an obsession with Christianity. These people want to become Christian without doing the work of a Christian. I don't know why they are not forcing themselves into other religions or trying to change other religions. They are just so desperate about changing Christianity. See, Christianity was here before all of us were here, and it will be here after all of us will go. It's not something you can come and now decide how you want it to be like or what you want it to say. Now, this man, he's obviously doesn't see the flaw in his logic. He thinks that because you feel it, it means that it's real. Yet, he doesn't know that that feeling you get is from somewhere. When there are two conflicting moralities, we will look for the one that is the highest standard. Without the standard, every other thing is relative. So Hitler is correct. The person that murdered the child is correct, because how can you say he's wrong and you are right when there's not anything above you? If all of you are equal, it means whatever I feel or whatever I think or whatever I do is as equal as you doing it. You might call what you did good. Me, I might call it evil. So there are people that kill people and to them that is good. So you can't have real morality outside of God. That is one of the things that it seems as if they can't see it. They think that it's just a biological thing. If it's just a biological thing, then what's the point? Anybody can feel any way that they like. Let's see how Frank continues with this.
I just think that as a society, we wouldn't be able to just say like, oh, we should allow murder. We should allow this and stuff to happen because obviously slavery was wrong. We abolished that. Obviously.
Okay. You're bringing up all sorts of moral wrongs. But
what I'm saying is that was what we need to cooperate as a human race, regardless of whether there's a God or not, because evolution has incentivized cooperation. If I share my fruit with my person, they're going to survive. If I take care of the elderly person in my clan, they're going to survive.
No.
If I take care of the children in my village, they're going to survive. The human race will survive and reproduce, and therefore everyone else is benefited from it.
Evolution is survival of the fittest.
That's not true. There's a lot more to it than you're strawmanning evolution. You're all wrong about this stuff. I'm sorry.
Where am I wrong about evolution being the survival of the fittest?
You probably read that guy who funded the Ark Encounter. Maybe you or whatever in Kentucky. You probably read his straw man version of evolution, and I really don't think that you really talk to biologists and you really know what's going on because there's a whole lot of stuff that a lot of you guys will just straw man and not even take as like what it actually says.
Hold on. Okay, got a lot of people behind here. I'm asking you simple questions. You come up asking a moral question. I'm asking for a moral standard. You haven't given me a moral standard.
I've said objective morality. That is a moral standard.
Where does the objective morality come if there is no God? I'm not the source of objective.
From within our wiring, from collaborating with other people.
Okay.
There are negative consequences to murder, obviously.
Negative is a moral term. You're importing a moral standard into your atheistic system, and you're stealing it from a theistic worldview.
That's not true.
Well, I'm sorry. You don't get
many
morality.
Moral standards besides Christianity. There's Buddhism. There's Shintoism. There's all these different moral codes from all over the world that I've read about that I've imported. So that's not true.
Mav, I'm going to have to ask you to move away from the microphone unless you give me a chance to respond. Okay?
Fair enough.
Okay.
That's one of the things I notice about this kind of guys. They are people. They like to shout over you. They think that the loudest is the winner of the argument. If you even check their influencers, that's how they like. They like to shout blah, 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 and talk many things and bring out stats that doesn't exist. And then they will not want to force you to make a yes or no decision. If you are not ready for constructive discussion, a lot of times there is no forward movement to anything you are doing.
There is no objective moral standard unless some kind of God exists.
That's true.
Everything is just a matter of human opinion. And so when you hold up a sign that says that certain people have treated LGBTQ people wrongly,
they have, and there's so much evidence for it.
Mav, you might be exactly right about that. But
I am. I have experiences and data to back it up.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that people have treated you poorly. But
you don't have to go on and spread these bigoted viewpoints on YouTube and Facebook like you do. It's just a bunch of misinformation. You have no idea. Mav, you have blood on your hands.
Okay, Mav. Do you want to have a conversation, or you just want
No, I really just would like you to just apologize and turn around and see that what you're doing is harmful.
Mav, There's only harm if God exists. Harm is only evil if God exists. And so you're
There's harm
stealing.
regardless if God exists or not.
Thank you, Mav. You're
No,
not
thank
interested.
you. Thank you. Let him go.
Thank you for coming.
Let
Hey,
him go.
Mav.
One of the things I notice about these people is that they don't want any other opinion. They always claim freedom of speech, but freedom is not of speech, it's freedom of their speech, not freedom of speech. They are not looking for freedom of speech. They are looking for freedom of their speech. So anytime you talk, they want you to use inclusive language. If there's freedom of speech, I don't have to use inclusive language. I can say what I want. But they say, no, you must use including language. If not, you call it hate speech. To me, in the realm of freedom of speech, there's nothing like hate speech. Yes, it's true that there's speech that is filled with hate and should not be said. But in reality, if you say there is freedom of speech, then there's nothing like hate speech. Number two is that even though there's freedom of speech, there should be consequence of action, which is actually what many of them don't want. They want consequence of action to the next person, but not to them. They are like babies. Babies. They want all the freedom, no responsibility. They want everybody to carry the responsibility there, but they themselves don't carry the responsibility. One of the things I see about Frank, this man, is that he's so patient with them. I don't think I will have that kind of patience. I think I will address them like John the Baptist. I will just call a spade a spade. What they are doing now is that they are destroying one of the greatest nations that have ever existed. They are focusing all their energy on things that are already set in stone, giving names, giving new names, trying to change language, trying to change lifestyle, trying to change the way we do, trying to change religion, just to focus on one group. If it continues like this, America is gone. America will fall if it continues like this.